Please start. On.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Pretty audible. Yes. Yeah.
Sir, am I audible? Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am thankful to Icon Services and Dr. Ashok Rathorji for inviting me as a chairperson for the eighth session of this quite informative and nicely themed webinar series on environment protection and public health. The theme of today's session is solid biomass to ethanol, and the presentation on this topic will be given by our guest speaker, Shri Vikas Chandra Gupta ji. Basically, there are three main biomass fuels that can be turned into energy, which will help to better our environment. The first one is the solid biomass, which includes wood in various forms, such as logs, chips, bark, sawdust, etc. Then agriculture waste is also there, like fruit pits, corn cobs, straw, etc. And solid waste, which include garbage and food processing waste. The second is biogas, which comes from rotting and decaying of dead plants and dead animals. Animal byproducts like fish oil and manure, human waste, including municipal solid waste and wastewater treatment sludge. And lastly, the liquid biofuel, which comprises of ethanol, that is ethyl alcohol from fermenting cellulose, starch or sugar, and biodiesel such as alcohol with vegetable oils, animal fats, or recycled restaurant grease. This is indeed a very big topic, which is gaining interest for researchers all over the world. Out of so many biomass fuels, ethanol, or to be more precise, bioethanol, is considered as one of the most potential and attractive liquid fuels since the natural resources from fossil fuels become limited. It is generally prepared from cellulose biomass. Cellulosic biomass is a complex mixture of carbohydrate polymers from plant cells known as cellulose and hemicellulose, plus lignin and a smaller amount of other compounds generally known as extractives. To produce ethanol from biomass feedstocks, a pretreatment process is used to reduce the feedstock size, break down the hemicellulose to sugars, and open the structure of the cellulose component. The cellulose portion is broken down, that is hydrolyzed by enzymes into glucose sugar that is fermented to ethanol. In the fermentation process, sugar such as glucose, fructose, or other monosaccharides is converted to ethanol by microbes, which are inoculated in the feedstock. The monosaccharides originate either directly from disaccharides, which are broken down by enzymes, or from starch, which is hydrolyzed with amylase enzymes. In addition to ethanol, water and carbon dioxide are also produced here. Nowadays, commercial scale production of bioethanol is carried out using food competing crops such as corn in the United States, sugarcane in Brazil, and wheat and sugar beets in Europe. Other substrates, including cassava, sweet potato, oats, rice, and fruits, which are normally used for human consumptions, are also used for ethanol production. Without taking much of your time, I would now request the organizers to introduce our guest speaker, Shri Vikas Chandra Gupta ji, and invite him to present the fundamental aspect of conversion of biomass to ethanol and its useful application as a biofuel. Thanks a lot.
Uh, Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting the significance of the theme about the ethanol and its attributes. So, not wasting much of time, our guest speaker is for today's session is Mr. Vikas Chandra Gupta. He is currently working as a principal investigator and assistant professor at IILMCET Greater Noida. He has done MTech in biotechnology and also completed his doctoral research for PhD submission at Technical University, Lucknow. In addition to this, Mr. Gupta has established his industrial research interest in domain of soilless cultivation of pollution-free agriculture produce at the department and has actively working on various government-funded research projects in hydroponics, lignosologic biofuel research domain. He is a proud recipient of CST UP Student Engineering Research Grant thrice in consecutive years at state level and well appreciation recognized by AICT Atal Academy for successfully conducting Atal Academy funded FDP grant on waste technology. He has published many research articles of repute in area of biofuel hydroponics, including publication in book chapter in international nation conferences, and also he has delivered many invited lectures in same domain. Mr. Gupta has been appointed a member reviewer of editorial board of Journal of Agricultural Research recently. So I will invite our guest speaker, Mr. Vikas Chandra Gupta, for delivering his lecture on solid biomass to ethanol. Over to Dr. Gupta.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashok, sir, and all the respected dignitaries present over here. It is my pleasure to present my research findings over the topic of biomass to bioethanol, which is very relevant in today's scenario. As sir has already told that the things are getting very high, at very higher end, right? And petrol prices are reaching very high. It is nearly a very tough job for a normal person to buy that petrol and to run on that petrol. So biotechnology has a lot of potential where these can be addressed in very sustainable manner as well. So today's topic is completely based on how to convert the abundantly available, which is also, I must say, that freely available biomass into bioethanol. However, there are certain challenges as well into this field, which I would like to highlight into this particular lecture. And I will keep this short as requested by Dr. Ashok. So let me share this my PPT.
Yeah, it's
I hope
visible.
my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So as we are referring it as a solid biomass to ethanol, so we must be knowing about that what we are actually targeting for into biomass. And this biomass is where it is coming from and what biotechnology is going to offer into this segment. So basically, bioethanol is being referred as a biofuel, and before moving into this definition, we must go by the biotechnology and biofuel definition. Like biotechnology is all about manipulating different living system to produce some product of interest at the commercial scale, and then biofuel are renewable energy resources which are primarily obtained from organic matter into the waste. These organic matter are primarily the carbohydrate sources, which we believe that, and it is evident as well that every biomass is containing. So every biomass which is available on the planet Earth that are a source of biomass, and that biomass is a source of bioenergy, ultimately to bioethanol. So what I'm trying to tell here that the biomass could be utilized and the content within the biomass could be capitalized up to the level of bioethanol in a very sustainable manner. But certain challenges are associated as well there. And there are certain types of biofuel which we have to encounter here, that like bioalcohol, ethanol. I would like to highlight the names only here, that the different type of biofuel which has been obtained from the different biomass, like bioalcohol, ethanol, propanol, butanol, and then biodiesel. See, these are the hydroxyl group which are associated with this particular type of biofuel, ethanol, propanol, and butanol, which comes under bioalcohol division. And then biodiesel is basically obtained from fatty acids, so which are primarily found into the cell membrane of the plant, and every you can say algae even cell membrane. There we can isolate them, and then we can convert them into the fatty acid methyl ester, which will be working very fine as a biodiesel. Then there are green diesel, vegetable oil also has been used to produce some kind of biofuel. Then bioethers are there, and biogas, as sir has outrightly mentioned there. Then there is a cellulosic ethanol, algae-based biofuel, biohydrogen, methanol, dimethylfuel, fisher straw biodiesel, and these are the few list of biofuel. There's a whole lot of range of biofuel which can be obtained from this abundantly available biomass resources. So we have to categorize them into different generations like first, second, third, and fourth. And while going through these generations categorization, we have to come across that like first generation was completely devoted to the food related sources such as sugar beet and sugarcane crop, and but due to some challenges like that is being consumed by the mass public, so there is a competition between them that whether it should be diverted towards the biofuel or towards the general public demand. So the second generation resources has been explored, which is primarily non-food sources, and it is the point where most of the research in today's scenario are being conducted. And then there is a third generation, as we had mentioned, that there is a biodiesel and biofuel in that category. So algae is a prominent source there, which is being grown and cultivated for obtaining fatty acid at the large scale, and then ultimately getting the biodiesel. The fourth generation are genetically modified algae, which is working in very refined and sophisticated bioreactor system. The configuration of bioreactor has also been designed in line with the genetically modified stable algae system. Also, we had used say different biological system biology approach as well into obtaining the high end value product. So by going next, we may understand that biomass is primarily used for biofuel, and under biomass there are different kind of materials, and then biotechnology has different type of processes with the a output of different type of product like starch, cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. The containing into biomass can be converted into bioethanol with the process of hydrolysis and fermentation. And same way, by using different microorganism and different metabolic route, we can use them as well for biobutanol. Then there are different raw material like oil crops, which are primarily containing cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin. Again, this can be converted by the method of hydrolysis and different biological reactions into biodiesel. Then the same substrate could be diverted into different route of photolysis and fermentation for the production of biohydrogen. Again, the substrate into animal waste, again primarily containing these prime resources like cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. With the method of anaerobic digestion, we can obtain biogas. So see, there are a list of biological material with different type of processes with different type biofuel product. So this slide is primarily to focus the potential of biotechnology and biomass in prime position, where we can obtain different type of end product which might be used to address the different needs of the country and society. Going through the primary first generation biofuel, we can see that these are the list of countries, 10 major sugarcane producing countries in the world. Brazil is at the top. I mean, they are using 9.8 mega hectare, that is around 37.1% of total production of the world. 739.3 million ton is being produced by the Brazil itself, and India is not far behind. You can see that India is at second point. And also we may wonder here that if India is producing this much sugar, and sugar is a prime substrate for biofuel. So why India is not leading at the front? Why the India is lagging behind? Because India is very populous country. It has to feed first its population before diverting its resources into the biofuel categories. That's why the whole production goes into the addressing the need of populous densities. Accordingly, there are 10 most prominent countries into sugarcane producing countries in the world. When India, understanding the importance of biomass-based biofuel, they have devised a policy which is most prominently known as India's biofuel policy and ethanol blending program. And by this program, they are aiming towards 30% blending, but till date, it has not been possible. 30% is very far behind. I mean, up to 10 to 18% is in the current situation that has been obtained, but rigorous research and development is going on the technology development front, and the major objective behind launching this program is saving this huge amount of rupees which are being spent over the export import of oils from foreign countries. So suppose if this much foreign reserve could be saved, that could be directly applied to the development of the country, right? So the wholesale objective of this program is to becoming independent of the foreign biofuel. And moving ahead, there are different kind of biomass into agricultural land. India is being an agricultural country. We know that India produces a lot of agricultural waste. The list shows itself that what are the principal components like cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, which we had highlighted into the slide. That these are the principal compounds which are being utilized to produce different kind of biofuels, and these principal compounds are being part of the different kind of biomass. The biomass has been listed with their percentage, and these individual component could be isolated, could be converted into biofuel, and then could be sold out to the market. But there are certain challenges are associated. Also, one challenges which has been very highlighted in recent days was the open field burning of those raw material, which was due to lack of available technologies. It was burnt openly into the environmental field and becoming major concern of air pollution index. So biomass statistics up to this time, I mean, this is recent data which I've gathered from research papers that like 5011 million tons in 2013 to 3802 million tons in 2003. That is the growth of biomass which has been generated, right? And 25% of this whole biomass is getting unutilized. Approximately 1.8 million ton of agricultural residues were burned in Brazil, China, India, and USA collectively. So you can imagine the quantity, a huge quantity, which are going waste, again going polluting the environment. And this is not about the India only. I mean, this has been done by the Brazil, China, and USA as well. So these all are illegal practices which are going up because of due to lack of very suitable technology in place for second generation, specifically second generation biofuel production program. And this is one fine morning. I mean, this is not the cold weather. This is like burning. You can say consequences, open field burning consequences. When Delhi people and Delhi and nearby NCR region people were bound to live in such kind of situation. So as we will also get to know that these are the principal pollutant which are coming out of those burning issues, and
Dr.
obviously these are
Gupta,
very.
sorry for interruption. I think you have to reshare. Some technical issues happened. Your presentation is not visible.
Okay.
Just please share once again.
Yeah, no issue. Is it visible now?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay. So out of those burning practices, which are illegal practices, these are the type of different kind of pollution which are polluting the normal lives of human beings, and they are getting diseased into different kind of disease, like cancerous patients are there, and asthmatic patients are there. I mean, a number of diseases are being originated because of these kind of activities, which are being very, very prominent practices around in and around to our environment. Yeah. I have also gathered one data, that is the state-wise emission of air pollution from crop residue burning for 2008, 2009. It was Jan 2009 data, which has been collected from research paper again. And it is, we used to talk about this, that this is a Delhi NCR region only where this kind of practices are going on, but no, this is a entire country, those who are involved into this kind of activities. So we have to think that why these kind of practices are there when these biomass could be diverted to the bioethanol route. That is a prominent question here. And also we have to think about like why when India's second largest producer of sugarcane, why not we are very much independent of oil countries. So the answer for this is like whatever component that we are targeting from biomass are very, 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 very compact inside the cell wall, inside the plant, inside the biomass. We have to take them out. We have to take them out in a purified form and as a precursor molecule. Like you can see into the picture that hemicellulose, lignin, and cellulose are to be separated out, and to separate them, pre-treatment is very, very required. And once we are talking about pre-treatment, this is the critical step. Your success, or you're better to say the commercial significance or commercial success of the production technology is largely dependent onto this pre-treatment technology. I mean, the amount of carbohydrate that has been present or available inside the biomass has to be freed first in that much quantity only. Suppose if 30% carbohydrate is there, I mean 30 to 40% carbohydrates is available inside the biomass. So it depends how much percentage are you going to get out of those available carbohydrate inside the biomass. The type of pre-treatment that you're going to apply will decide the rate at which you're going to get the biomass component. And the whole story revolves around this. Different type of methodology has been designed till date. Different type of optimization tool have been employed to get the maximum yield. But getting them isolated and fractionated comes with different type of derivative product as well. And the basic of metabolic route by which we are targeting towards ethanol is like glucose. So until or unless you're not reaching at this point, you'll not be able to get the ethanol out of this. And it is this slide becomes very, very important in this case. This is the metabolic glycolytic pathways, and glucose is a prime sugar molecule which will be directed towards metabolic route of different microbial system or enzymatic system to reach at the point of ethanol. But before that, glucose has to be converted from the cellulose, hemicellulose and cellulose content available into the biomass. So extent at which you can produce glucose out of those biomass component will decide the success of your ethanol production process. So the major route by which you can produce ethanol from different type of biomass and different type of biofuel as well is like there are two pre-treatment, as I have highlighted, is very, very, very required. Like cellulose and hemicellulose has to be isolated first. Lignin is a polyaromatic compounds which is of no use into ethanol production process, so that has to be discarded. Also, you can see after saccharification, the saccharification is a process where the cellulose and hemicellulose will be degraded to the level of glucose and xylose. Xylose is a C5 sugar molecule and glucose is a C6 sugar molecule. Interesting point here to note is that in a single broth, in the single hydrolyzate, glucose and xylose both are present once you are hydrolyzing them and saccharifying them. But glucose is being utilized by different microbial system and xylose is being utilized by different microbial systems. So research is absolute requirement at this particular point. There should be some microbial species which can be utilized both of them simultaneously. And fortunately, several research have been conducted over this point to produce novel microbial strain which are able to co-metabolize glucose and xylose simultaneously, leading to the rate of ethanol production directly. So ultimately, overall sugar will be converted to ethanol by a single species. That if we are able to establish those kind of processes, believe me, these are the few challenges at the level of pre-treatment, at the level of sacrification, and then at the level of fermentation. If these challenges could be well addressed, the ethanol process will be definitely commercially significant. And the fermentation, you can see that by the same substrate we can direct them different routes, single cell protein, organic acid, but that is not point of interest here, but lignocellulosic enzyme, cellulases, hemicellulases, lignalases, and that will be used directly into the saccharification processes. I mean, at the same time, pre-treatment, fermentation, producing enzyme, and then using them into saccharification to release glucose and xylose, and then glucose and xylose will be fermented further to produce fine chemicals, methane, single cell protein, microbial polysaccharide, and bioplastic, and then alcohols. But every different route could be blocked here, and every single resources could be directed towards alcohol. So that is the way of obtaining higher yield of alcohol from different biomasses and different resources. But there are further challenges as well. Another data which says different type of raw material with different type of pre-treatment. As I have told you that, and a whole lot of pre-treatment strategies have been devised to get maximum level of sugar. Sugar is a primary requirement, so whole story revolve around sugar obtained. But sugar comes with a different inhibitor molecule as well when we are going to apply different pre-treatment processes like sodium hydroxide, sodium bicarbonate, and sulfuric acid. So acid, alkaline, ionic liquid, organic solvent, microwave assisted, steam, hydrothermal, and combined. Out of those physical method, the chemical pre-treatment method is very, you can say, in terms of inhibitor generation, it very challenging. It will no doubt release the sugar molecule at a very larger rate, but at the same time it will release the inhibitor molecule as well into the process, which ultimately will be going at the fermentation level, and when fermentation will be conducted, those inhibitor will be stopping those microbial system to produce ethanol. So these are the few challenges and very prominent challenges as well, which now we have to address those detoxification strategies, right? In case we want to go by ethanol process from biomass component, so we have to get detoxified hydrolyzate until or unless will not be able to get them purified ethanol in a larger quantity. So detoxification has also been studied. This is another research area into this. Detoxification is a kind of method where inhibitor molecule are being separated, either way, either inhibitor or sugar. And for obtaining them, the different technologies like membrane-based technology, hollow fiber membrane design has been applied till date. And to my knowledge, it was very useful and successful too. And that is where this comes into picture. Like acetaldehyde is a prerequisite for ethanol. So glycolytic pathways has been metabolized cellulose to glucose and glucose to ethanol. These metabolic route has been also developed. Suppose if pentose sugar are not being utilized by microbial system, so what we will do? We will use system biology and metabolic engineering and genetic engineering, another research area at this particular point of time, where in my knowledge, one center is there in Delhi, which is known as the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, ICGB. They are working wonderfully into this segment, and they are at this particular point of this presentation. I'm highlighting different research areas into this segment and challenging areas. And this is a particular area which is being covered by the ICGB center, and they are using very good system biology approach into this, producing novel strains and stable strain as well to produce ethanol. And you can see the pentose phosphate pathways has been also considered into this way to produce ethanol. While pentose phosphate pathway is primarily being utilized for what? For producing the precursor molecule for nucleotide synthesis. But that has been utilized in this case and really directed towards glycolysis to acetaldehyde to ethanol. So that is how metabolic engineers and genetic engineers are working into this field. So though biotechnology has a lot to offer to the different sphere of this problem, the challenges which are being utilized at this particular time are being explored by different researchers into different domains, and then they are working day and night into this. One slide that I missed in case like stoichiometry, and stoichiometry is something like how much ethanol could be produced from this much waste. So, which slide? The slide which I missed is 668 billion gallons that could be produced from there, and the amount of waste which is globally available. So we can just imagine if we can address these issues into this segment. So obviously we are going to produce a very commercially success and environmentally sustainable technology. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
very
lot.
much, sir. Thanks a lot for explaining everything challenges in the biofuel manufacturing from the solid biomass. I think it's a very nice way to understand how the ethanol can be manufactured from the solid biomass or simply the waste. Sometimes we can say as a waste, and the waste can be converted into the wealth. So it's very good to be here to see you about your research work on ethanol. I think if any question from the participant side, then you can ask. We have only 3 to 4 minutes means for this session. Anyone want to share his experience, their experience, or any question? Okay.
I
No.
hope I have not taken much time.
Yeah, it's very nice, sir. You have completed within time frame because the free
Thank you.
time for this session is only for 50 minutes.